Nut milks. So nuts are a really interesting thing. Just like beans, they have that anti-enzymatic property to it. So for those of you who soaked your nuts either last night or this morning, you would have noticed that there's a lot of the water turned really brown. That stuff you want to get it, you want to rinse that away because if you've ever had a bunch of nuts, just raw nuts and ate a bunch of them, they will lay so heavy on your stomach because they are designed by nature not to be digestible until they have been introduced to water. And when they get introduced to water, it's nature's signal for them to begin to grow again. And the anti-enzymatic qualities that prevent it from being eaten and sprouting prematurely just will lay heavy on our stomach, and it will prevent our digestion from being very good. So if nuts have been an issue for you in the past, soaking them first might change that for you, which is super awesome. Like, so that's one of the reasons why we're doing a nut milk today. If you love to just munch on nuts, it's better to soak them before you do it. If you're planning on having nuts for a meal or on your salad or something, some nuts are better than others. Like cashews, you don't really have to soak in advance, but almonds for sure. Walnuts are big ones. Pecans. Uh, I would really recommend that you soak those first. So we're going to do milk, but if you soak your nuts, you can also grind them up and make a butter with them. There's nothing like a freshly ground almond butter for your toast in the morning or whatever. So there's plenty of playroom with nuts, but we're going to use a blender. And so I've got my handy dandy Vitamix here. And Penny, this is for you. I soaked 3 dates. Uh, and the number of dates that you soak is going to be predicated on how sweet you want your nut milk to be. So I just want mine to be mildly sweet. This recipe calls for 4 cups of water. It makes approximately 4 cups of nut milk, or a quart of nut, or a half gallon of nut milk. So I'm going to put the dates right into the Vitamix and soaked almonds. And 4 cups of water. So now, if we turn that on, we know we're going to have some sweet nut milk, right? But we can doctor this nut milk up in so many different ways. We can do plain, like if we know we're going to be make a recipe that's savory and we want nut milk in that recipe, we don't have to put anything. We can make it plain. If we just want it sweetened, some dates, some agave, honey, whatever your preference. If you want it to be a little vanilla-y, which I do, I'm going to put a splash of vanilla in this. And again, the amount is based on preference. So I'm going to put about a half teaspoon. For those of you who have cooked with me before, you know I don't measure anything. Almond almond milk can be doctored up with chocolate, so you can make a chocolate almond milk. You can do like a hazelnut chocolate milk. You can make a golden milk. Let me see. I've got some notes on that so I can tell you what's in it. And you can absolutely Google it because golden milk has lots of goodness in it. Let's see, it's got turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, a little coconut oil, and black pepper. And it's got, we all know that those are highly medicinal. You could do a chai milk. You could do a pumpkin spice milk. You can get your inspiration for those of you who use like coffee creamers or like to put cream in your coffee. You can go to the grocery store section and look at all of the lovely flavors that you can find there, and then adapt your recipe to create that flavor. And first of all, it's not going to have a bunch of junk in it, a lot of chemicals or hydrogenated fats. And secondly, it's going to be so fresh and nutritious. So play with it, and I would love to see some recipes on our Facebook group about what you've come up with so that we can be inspired by you. So it's super easy. These are all super easy. Let's see.
Kat, how many cups of nuts, almonds did you put in the milk?
1 cup of almonds soaked so it swells up, so it's going to be larger than 1 cup by the time it's finished, and 4 cups of water. So it's 1 to 4.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okie dokie. All right, this might be loud. You ready? Okay. This is a paint strainer bag. It's a little grody looking because I've used it so many times. But these are, you can hand wash them. You could throw them in the laundry with your dish towels or whatever. But this is exactly what you would buy in a health food store to strain your nuts. And you can either buy a paint strainer bag or a nut bag. A paint strainer bag is going to be $2. A nut bag is going to be $7. They're identical. All right. So I've got a little container. This holds about 4 cups of beverage. And all you do is pour it in. It's so frothy and yummy. And the nut bag captures all of the nut pulp. So here we get to exercise a little bit of patience. So the next time, I don't know how many of you use nut milk or buy it at the store. Take a look at the ingredient list on the package, and you'll notice that it likely has some emulsifier in the ingredients, which keeps the fat and the water together. So whenever you make your own nut milk, it will separate. Once this is all squeezed out and I've got my nut milk, I'll put it in a jar and put it in the fridge. And when I open the fridge the next time, I'll see that the nut milk is separated. All you have to do is shake it up. There's nothing wrong with it. So there's lots of little things you can do with the nut pulp. You can compost it, or you can turn it into some sort of yumminess. I will play with a recipe and send it out. But one of the things I used to do uh, when I was cooking for a lot of people was make sure that they had plenty of fiber in their diet. So I would add cocoa powder to this nut pulp and some psyllium husk and some dates. And the dates were sticky enough to hold it together, and I would roll it into little balls. And one of the fellows that I would make this for would tell me that it reminded him of the munchkins that Dunkin' Donuts serve. But every single person that partakes in these, what I called fiber bombs, had excellent poops. As you can see, there's quite a lot of nut fiber. There's still quite a lot of liquid to squeeze out. Okay. I can't help myself. I have to taste this. For those of you who have made it too, I'm curious how yours turned out. Oh, that's so good. If this is the first time that you have made your own nut milk, you're going to be sold just by tasting it. It's so much better than the stuff you can buy in the store. All right. And again, I am such a fan of mason jars. Hope I don't spill this all over the place. Let's just see. I think I'll do this over the sink. Perfect. I'm not a fan of single-use plastic, but these plastic lids uh, for mason jars, I love them because you're not fussing with two pieces and they're reusable. So I've got a quart of lovely almond milk for breakfast tomorrow or whatever I want to use it for. Does anybody have any questions?
We don't have any questions in the queue right this moment, no.
Oh, okay. That's good. That must mean that I've described the almond milk making pretty well. I'd love to hear in the chat if anybody has tasted almond milk and what they think of it.
So there was a question. So while people are sharing their experience, someone does want to know how long the almond milk will last in the fridge.
2 to 3 days. So if you know you're not going to go through a quart of almond milk, make half a quart. Use half a cup of almonds instead of a full cup of almonds. You'll have to play with that, massage your timing and whatnot. But if you're like me, I like to use almond milk in my morning beverage. I like to use almond milk in lots of my recipes. I like to use different kind of nut milks for my recipes, so it's nice to have on hand.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, go ahead.
Katie Patrick said she never made it homemade. Ro just made it with you, and she says she'll definitely need more dates. Someone else had a similar question that they just direct messaged me, but Michelle wanted to know about the skin, removing the skin on the almonds. It was answered by the straining, but if you want to go into that a little bit more.
Yeah, the teaching is take the skin off before you eat it. I don't have the patience for that. I mean, you can if you want to. That's all I'm going to say about that.